Molopo Magistrates Court will rule on the bail application of alleged insurance killer Agnes Setshwantsho on Friday. The state has opposed her application, arguing that there are no exceptional circumstances to warrant her release. Refilwe Seboko is joining us live from Mahikeng to speak to the National Prosecuting Authority in that province. Good afternoon, Refilwe.
Good afternoon, Dudu. Together with our viewers, the National Prosecuting Authority in the North West province, they are still saying that they are opposing for Agnes Setshwantsho to be granted bail. Today, it was those closing arguments in this bail application hearing, and like you said, the judgment will be heard on Friday. But you'll remember that these closing arguments by the state were supposed to be happening last week, Friday, but they had said that there is some new information, new evidence that came out, and therefore they needed time to go and prepare. But let's talk to Henry Mamothame. Thank you so much and welcome to Newzroom Afrika. Maybe let's start off with what was contained today in your closing arguments in this bail application hearing.
Well, what was contained today was most definitely not new. We've indicated before to this court that based on their affidavits, their reasons were not compelling enough for her to be granted bail. We deem her not to be a candidate to be granted bail. Hence, we argued strongly against it. But over and above that, you'd remember that before adjournment on Friday, we indicated that there were few points that they failed to include in their affidavit, which they used to respond to our submission to this court. So we had to deal with those first. Amongst those was the fact that the investigating officer indicated to this court that he had indicated to correctional services to inform him of anyone who comes to visit the accused person based on security assessments that they have done as the SAPS, and there's no rule preventing anyone from that. Now, you'd remember the attorney argued strongly against that. He felt it was unfair because it prevents them from consulting with clients and so forth, but that's not the issue, and that's not a correct assertion. But for security reasons, SAPS felt that Mr. Keith Mabunda should be informed of any person, not necessarily the attorney, any person who would want to visit or see the accused person. But we believe we've put our best foot forward in terms of the arguments that we submitted to this court for this person not to be granted bail.
The defense is also arguing against you saying that she is a flight risk, particularly because they have her passport, both the old and the new. Well,
our argument is that we remember the issue of her being a flight risk emanates from the list of addresses that she has submitted and the ones that we were able to discover through investigations when we were profiling her for this bail application. Now, the investigating officer indicated that it was really difficult to get hold of the accused person in all of these addresses that she indicated, that especially the one where she says it's her home address where she stays in the Northern Cape. Now, this person, how would you ensure that such a person would come to court on the day when the date is set for her to appear before court? So we believe she's a flight risk. We believe she'll elude court. She won't come. Hence, we argued that based also on the fact that this passport is new, she can go at any given time to avoid coming to court and answering to the accusations leveled against her.
And also based on the fact that, as a defense, that the fact that she has relatives in Botswana, even if there's a law, if maybe she's granted bail and then she then goes to Botswana, there's a law in which she will be brought back to the country so that she can stand trial.
Well, ordinarily, courts would would tell her, conditions of her bail, but we don't want to entertain any conditions. Hence, we even did not submit as to how much the court grant her bail, how much should it be. We're not entertaining bail because we're in strong opposition of bail being granted to her, looking at the seriousness of this case. But we've also discovered that those relatives are relatives of her deceased husband. They're not necessarily her relatives. So we can't bank on that when she visits Botswana, she'll be going to those relatives. It could be a way out of South Africa to wherever else where she'll be eluding.
Thank you so much for your time. Henry Mamothame, spokesperson of the NPA in the North West province. They are still adamant that Agnes Setshwantsho should not be granted bail, but that judgment, as the closing arguments have now been concluded here in Molopo Magistrate Court, and then the judgment will happen on Friday.
Refilwe Seboko, thank you for that report.